Hello and welcome. This is the Daily Dharma. My name's Dina with Empressivewarrior. Thanks to everybody for stopping by, lending your energy to this moment. Take a moment, set your intentions, take up some of that energetic smudge here. I want to utilize the Akashic Tarot deck first to get some ascended masters, perhaps angels, more archetypal energies for our guidance systems coming in and something about our spiritual path. And then I'd like to use the archetypal deck to clarify where we stand in regards to each of those, how we're serving and listening and trying to embody our messages, our calling, our purpose in regards to each of those ascended or higher dimensional guides and guardians. So that said, in the pre-shuffles today, we have a few messages that are coming out. So I'm going to go ahead and just share those with you before turning the decks over and starting at the Akashic Tarot. So to start us out, the Whispers of the Ocean Oracle deck here, we had 3 that wanted to be seen out of the deck and 1 underneath the deck. So underneath the deck, we have 48. Disengage from outcomes. So there's something that you may have expected to happen a certain way or in a certain order, and you're being told that those are something there is unnecessary to the degree that you've been focusing upon it. And if we relinquish a little bit of our expectations and control, or, what it is going to look like, then we can allow the universe to fill in some new blanks with us and, give us a new opportunities and new adventures to choose from. So it's going to expand our scope of awareness in where we can go. It's like the workaround to something that has limited us if we can release our expectation in some way. So the 3 that came out are 15, 10, and 27. 15, Adrift in Shallow Water, says take a few deep breaths and reconnect to your inner peace. Notice the small things and appreciate them. So we've got this sea turtle, which, turtles can often on land be a symbol of slow movement, slow and steady progress. But more than that, with the sea turtle, it's when you're drifting along in these shallow waters, it's like we haven't quite seen the depths, or maybe if we've seen them, we're not engaged with the depths of the ocean in this card here. It's talking about how we're looking at just the surface of something, and so they want to show us something a little bit deeper or some nuance that hasn't really been given the proper attention. And so this is coming through. So turtle here also talks about how we are more resourceful than we could sometimes be led to believe, especially with the idea of the turtle travels with its home on its back. And unlike hermit crab that kind of shelters in a home, the turtle's home is within. And so this is something that you're being reminded of, to go to your inner sanctuary, your inner peace, and to find that kernel seed within the self that makes you that helps you remember the core of what you're doing and what the actual objective is. So if we can simplify and also generalize the greatest objective that is held, then we can start to kind of pan out from the exacts and let things flow. Every step counts, with number 10 here. Says there's an advantage in taking things slowly. Breathe deeply and fully as you consider your options. We've got 2 cards here of breathe, and I did start the reading today out with breathing, so let's take a moment. You can take a few more deep breaths, pause the video if you want. I will note and cross promote, yesterday I did a little bit of a stepping out from the norm and didn't take cards. I instead demonstrated the mind body spirit biofeedback machine and talked a little bit about more inclusive wellness. And part of the biofeedback machine's general, well, okay, starting out, I think I've now done the biofeedback machine with about 22 or 23 individuals, give or take. And nearly all of these individuals will have one or several of these general things, either a pH that's out of alignment or balance, um, a reduced oxygen flow, digestive slowdown, or something that's not quite absorbing or purging correctly, so leaving toxins that need to be cleansed. And fourthly, collagen deficiencies. So the lungs aspect is coming through with this breathe. And so if you need to get back to the breath, back to the body, that's something that you're being reminded of, however that looks for you, whether you do breathing exercises, some, what is it called, a prana yoga. I'm not a yoga. I've done a little bit on my own, but I am no professional. Or Wim Hof, something like that. Check out that video for more suggestions if that's something that you're interested in, getting back on in alignment with your health goals and wellness objectives. So the last card here, 27, push to the surface. You may have become complacent. You might be stalling or in need of a new surge of energy. Become aware of the dynamics in your life. So there's something here that's surface level, or that your attention has kind of um, moved away from the depths of the breath, the depths of your soul, and you've gotten maybe distracted, or maybe there's some kind of element of your plan or of your goal that seems vitally important, but you're missing something along the lines of the bigger picture, or somebody here is. So, since these are general readings, you'll have to mix in mold the energies to fit the individual that we're talking about in each time. But somebody here is needing to recognize that the end is in sight, and you may be closer to your objective than you believe, because when you're in shallow waters and you're getting this push to the surface, every step counts, and disengage from outcomes, it's like, don't sabotage yourself with any negative thinking here and lose yourself for losing because you expect it, but believe in your ability to create consistent shifts and changes. And it takes just as long, if not longer, to rebuild a healthy habit than it did to develop the habit which is contrary to your habits. Or any mindset that we may be talking about here. But push to the surface in this shallow circumstance, you've already gotten out of the deep waters, you've come a long way, and now you're really close to piercing the surface, to gaining recognition, to pushing through the portal of this shift that you're ready to exact in your life. So from the archetypal deck pre-shuffle, we have Elf, El, Elathea. I I always say Althea, but I think it's Elathea. Whatever. It's the truth card in this deck. It's like soul truth, black and white, and being able to connect the dots across the veil, which says that even though we are wanting to fight for peace, that peace doesn't come from fighting, that type of a mindset. So, apply that as a metaphor to whatever situation seems like there's more struggle or um, more limitation. Believe and know the truth of this, that you're being supported. The second two cards, we have the empty room and Eros. So, a couple things coming up. I feel like with this shallow water push to the surface and the truth about the empty room and the sexual energy here coming through, to me, it's calling out Eros and the Althea. And I'll share also under the deck, the immediate bottom card was the animal, talking about the primal instincts and the real body material dimension, the monkey mind that would distract us or, you know, lead us down into some type of element or behavior that doesn't serve. And then below that, the two that wanted to be seen were the eternal child and gnosis. With gnosis, at the same time as we're getting Althea, it's like you know some type of sacred wisdom and sacred truth about the situation. And in the depths of this seeming emptiness, you are aware that the I'm hearing tabula rasa, that this slate has been cleared so that you can determine what comes next for you. And there's something here about the sexual energy, about the way that you are perhaps reserving that energy for self in some way to reach some type of sacred truth um, about what comes next. Again, no matter if this is romance, career, calling, or your personal journey, the empty room says that you're really making space and being diligent about maybe working those sacred boundaries and protecting the integrity of both your vision and your inner needs here. So us, and especially with um, it's the truth about when a person perhaps leaves our energy as well. What is left is the self. When others are not around us, when family and friends no longer influence our decisions, then this ultimate higher truth and our alignment with that, we can really understand what our instincts are drawing us more towards. What does the inner child, the spark of creative life force energy between eternal child and Eros, it's like, what really turns us on as far as our spiritual light, what inspires us to take action, to believe in something, to keep on pushing for another day, to correct our internal chemistry, to create something that thrives. It's the belief that we are here for a reason, that there is beauty and love and miracles all around us. So that will probably come into the reading as well. And with the Akashic Tarot, at 1212, I saw a couple other numerological hits too, so you may be seeing those. Many of us are. And so the two that came out from that deck were 3 of Scrolls and 4 of Forces. Scrolls are the air suit of swords, and it's depicted with this setting your course. There's this rainbow behind this individual with his telescope on the ship. It's a nice, beautiful day. They're checking out the map. Somebody else is kind of looking out over the horizon. To me, this is talking about teamwork and our ability to work alongside with others and go in a common direction where everybody kind of has their role or their specialty within some type of a function. So this may talk about you wanting to bring others into a vision, or it can talk about members of your family or friend group going on an adventure, even on open water, maybe a, something on the river. It can also talk about going in a new direction in your company. Maybe you are taking some type of a leadership position or heading up some type of committee of an organization. This can be just in your personal life as well. But with the rainbow there in the telescope, it's like you have this far-sighted ability to see what's coming next, to really define, to check the map, to gain the buy-in into your situation. And then the rainbow being that illumination of the chakra system. So you may be going through some various upgrades as you make whatever shifts are necessary and coming into your path. In the 4 of Forces, forces are the fire wands suit. And here we have spring and autumn. And I'm reminded that at the time of this broadcast, this is the week where we have equinox. I'm in the northern hemisphere, so we're moving into autumn. Others, of course, across the world are going into spring. And so this is a big shift. And we also are in the middle of the 2 eclipses happening this season, where we just had that super moon, full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces, and we're going to be moving into the solar eclipse, the new moon in Virgo on October 2nd. And so then the equinox is happening this week too. So there's some kind of shift in direction or a decision to go on this adventure or so on, whatever it was for you. Under the deck, we have 8 of forces, 8 of fire with this lightning bolt realization. So there's some kind of um, spark of truth. It comes through with truth, gnosis, and animal eros. It's like this lightning bolt is capturing our attention. It's like a tower coming through, whether that's positive or seen as negative in your experience. It's like something can't be unseen, something can't be unknown. And now there's this illumination, this eureka moment that helps us to kind of release control a bit and say, okay, well, I trust the universe to deliver to me the highest, the best, what I most need moving forward. And we have some falling out. Let's see if we get any Ascended Masters yet. We do. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Spirit. I love you. All right. So much love. All right. So we have 4 cards coming out. And we're not going to discriminate against the court cards and archetypal cards in this deck and say that they're any less than the archetypes of the Ascended Masters and Angels. We start out with the Divine Physician, which depicts Jesus with this, what's the name of that medical association? The Hermetic alchemical staff of Hermes Trismegistus, thrice born, Thoth. But anyways, Jesus is the depiction that they've chosen in this deck. And so this may represent something to do with having felt like that in the past you may have been made an example of, you may have had many trials, but these trials have made you a stronger individual and has led you to purify your own inner nature and to charter a course where you are helping others to heal not only mind, body, spirit, but really in conjunction with the medical association and with other medical teachings, right? You are bridging possibly homeopathy, naturopathy, and herbal, medicinal, and so on with the chemical teachings of the modern day. And so that's a powerful archetype there. So that's one of the guides coming in to lead us down a specific path. The second one is the 8 of Keys, the Earthly Pentacles suit. This is the Master Artisan. So whether you're a crafter, a creator, a literal artist, musician, what else? You know what you are. This is a builder, somebody who's into sacred geometry or into crafting or designing words, poets, all types of artistry comes through the Master Artisan. But also, let's not forget that even out in the world of social media, you can be quite an artist with your words, with your reach, with the ideas and ideals that you come and present to the individuals who are seeking, and what you seek out and what you provide here, creating a very large entity or offering around you. And it looks like this individual is definitely getting paid by someone. And perhaps, they have these lab coats, so I don't know if this is quite scientific as well. So applying the scientific to your artistry, so putting sacred geometry into art, or utilizing solfeggio frequencies into your music, or so on. There's something here so far with the guides asking us to stretch our offering from what we think it is into something that crosses the veil, that speaks to both sides and appeals to greater variety of individuals. The next comes the major number 13, the number of integration and transformation. the Buddha prepares. So the Buddha stretches by simplifying and reducing, I would say. And if some level of Buddhism is part of your path, or it keeps showing itself, like just before this broadcast I was gathering my things. I have to bring them out every day, reset the area. I was seeing a couple of my Buddhist statues, and I actually tipped over. There's this little tippy dragonfly sculpture thing just made out of the lightest material that I balance on the happy Buddha's head, and it's just one of those symbols that I work with. I'm getting a little bit of a, not a chill, but a feeling across the shoulders and down the arms with that. I don't know what that is, but I always honor those energies. But yeah, perhaps you need to release some tension from this area in the shoulders and the upper arms, and release and stretch. Um, Meditate, connect across astral. And then finally, we have the Queen of Scrolls, the Queen of Knowledge. And she is one who is in touch with the Akashic. She uses her voice, she uses the media outlets, not talking about necessarily news outlets, but perhaps you are somebody that's interested in current events or trends, or things such as that, and utilizing information gathering, and then deciphering and integrating that into what messages are coming through you intuitively, to then consolidate information and present it out with your unique take on things. But the mediums of writing, voice, um, art, imagery, metaphors, song, lyrics, sharing music, and so on can come through that. Uh, and also scientific process and research. So under the deck, we have up in the air. So perhaps something seems like it has been coming through for a while, and there's a lot of opportunities showing themselves, but something is not quite settled yet, and it looks like you're interested in finding out more. Let's go ahead, and I always run out of time. I hope you guys don't mind. I'm going to leave those oracle cards, the archetype deck and the oracles from the ocean there, and we're going to clarify these guides speaking to our skill set with this Sacred Geometry Activations Oracle deck here. There we go. For the Divine Physician, we have our first one popping out. And we have the card of Romantic Love, number 39. So this keeps coming out. And of course, not all of you are going to be resonating with new love or having a partner. People tuning in are going to be all over the board in regards to this. But there's something here about your loving nature. And last night I had an acquaintance, associate that's interested in many of the same types of homesteading and intentional community building processes come over, and we toured and talked and inspired each other. And she said the coolest thing when we went to leave, she says, "I'm feeling so much agape love for you right now." And I was like, oh my gosh, so much, yes. And it's that type of energy that comes through the Divine Physician. It's like, what heals except the aspect of unity consciousness, the unconditionally loving vibration of love. It is the healing balm. And this individual that spoke to me has been in the position of a teacher in different organizations, and she spoke about how she felt the true role of a teacher of children in particular in this conversation was just to see and witness the child, to observe the child, so to let them express whatever it was that came through them, and to say, "I see you." And so that's coming through for you with synergy on the bottom. You're unlocking layers of individuals through your ability to see and be seen, and to love deeply, and to express that, to not hold back with all that you are. So if you are part of that resonant group, then part of this is recognizing that not you're not for everyone, because those individuals that are out there misguided and feeling too alone to cross over and to witness your love and to accept it, or even allow it around them without being so triggered, they may feel like they're persecuting you. But it's important to move away from any feelings of persecution, betrayal, um, and martyrdom, and really just develop that sense of love for both self and the path, and to pull back your energy from any type of negative feeling and just say, those people weren't ready for me. Or this individual, it seems like they were rejecting me, but all they were doing was choosing their resonance. I allow them to go on their separate journey. I allow this person to have their biases. I allow this person to do something that seems to me to be immodest, because who am I to judge, right? The non-judgment, moving away from perhaps even classic, traditional, conditional um, following of whatever religion might have been brought into your experience, and moving beyond those limitations into simply love is really the objective. Because do you not know that you too are a god? And you are, if nothing else, the conduit of that white light Christed energy. And in that way, you open people's heart chakras to potential, into hope and faith, and you will change their life simply by being an observer in their experience. It's like in Avatar, where they're like, I see you. I always used to do this to my daughter before that movie came out. When she was a little girl, I'm like, the third eye stare sees you. I would do that to my dog. I still do once in a while. It's a cute way to say, like, you know, I see what you're doing, but instead of judging you, I'm 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 letting you see that you have an intention at work and play, and let's not play. All right, let's move towards the Master Artisan. That's too many and they're face down. Let's go ahead and be concise with this message so we can get everything out. I'm going to try to get some Tao and Art of War cards to finish up the messages here in a moment. Master Artisan, what are you being guided to? Oh, okay. Remembrance. There's something you may have been skilled at from an early age. Like yesterday in my broadcast, I'm remembering that I feel somewhat like um, perhaps unpolished. I used that word yesterday. And maybe even there's a kernel of me that feels unequal to some of the professionals, so to speak, out on YouTube world, where every time they say they cut that out. Every time they say let me look at this a minute, they cut that out, so they look very polished. But here I am being genuine, and that's fine. But there's also this aspect of, in yesterday's thing, there's this I called it DIY. I called it arts and crafts, where I had drawn out the symbols I wanted to speak about, because it's difficult for me to spend hours in front of a computer cutting and pasting, where my service work is not with that computer. If I can simply like see a vision and translate it to artistry and then display it, is that not the most efficient use of my powerful energy? And so I need to remember that it's not about judging that I may not be ready. I may not be palatable for everybody that has these higher expectations and judgmental views, right? I am remembering, and we are remembering, that the artistry comes through the eternal child, the authentic um, upheaval in the spontaneous authentic flow of the channel, and how that kind of comes in and weaves its way through, instead of having bump bump bump, bullet bullet bullet, going through like a script. It's more like creating art with your words, and the way that words can have double meanings and come through in the way that the numbers speak, and the intuitive hits and the stories that come to mind. helps to develop the story. And so something that you're remembering here is perhaps taking you back. I see this labyrinth in the middle and helping you to really place your winner's laurel, what are those, olive branches? Or are they laurel wreath pieces that they would depict on the scholars of old? It's like taking up your crown, masculine or feminine. You're able to remember what it is that you were very skilled at as a young person, and to be able to integrate that into whatever it is that's coming through. And I see that magic is under the deck there. How do we always run out of time? I don't know how people give 7-minute readings. The Buddha prepares. What are what is the Buddha asking us to prepare for? We'll take those two. We have consciousness and solar plexus. Being able to utilize your consciousness creatively. Perhaps you are entering the astral and lending your energies to other individuals, and you're having a realization of the impact that you can have. Maybe you're programming your space, maybe you are setting intentions, maybe you are helping and lending your healing energies to the world at large. um, Maybe you're planning out some water healing or world peace meditations with others across the world. Maybe you're charging the ley lines in the grid of the world, going to energetic vortices around the earth. But there's a way that you can use your creative energy. Like maybe you're an energy worker that's also gifted at entering astral and moving and shifting and transmuting energies. I want to move on to Queen of Scrolls. We have Crown Chakra and Allowance. You have a lot of messages coming in and moving through your beingness, and all of this research, all of this knowledge is sacred wisdom. You may be very in depth connected to the Akashic heritage of your genetic lines, your cultural heritage, as well as previous lives. You have a root chakra here. If you can open your mind to believing and trusting in those images and metaphors and channeled messages and just let it flow. Free writing is going to be a great way for you to open your energy and record your insights, and you're asked to ground that into this world, to trust it, and possibly write a book or start writing on a platform to engage these new ideas in a bigger way. You're being asked to utilize your voice and create a platform for self and reach a greater public. So, all right, Art of War for anyone? Lead by example, absolutely. While families do not have leaders and employees, and they're not really organizations, they could still be considered small, not-for-profit business. Successful parents, for example, lead by example, setting out roles, boundaries, standards of behaviors, and expectations with clear communication, and enforcing rules with kindness. They value input from their children and are keen to make joint decisions with them. And this, for everybody, even beyond parenting, is the way that we need to be more accepting and synergistic with those in our world. So we're out of time. I'm going to try to give you a little glance at that bottom